Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy and doing blessed and just doing overall safe. Welcome to your Geek Report for the week of April the 29th through May 6th of 2024. The first thing you're going to notice is the face cam is back. I got some new LED lights. They are working about as well as the old ones did. I really like them. Hopefully, they last longer than the old ones did, but we're going to find out. We're going to give these a try. But anyway, we're going to get started with this week's Geek Report. And we're going to start off in our TV and movie news segment. And our first bit of news is that Jeff Bridges has confirmed that he is returning to Tron in the newest Tron film, Tron Ares. Now, Jeff Bridges has played Flynn in the original Tron, and he played Flynn in the recent Tron movie, Tron Legacy. But now Tron Ares, the third film in the Tron series, is coming out soon, and he has confirmed that he will be returning. And we're going to kind of look at this and just talk about it. In other news, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. This has been a show that keeps on getting pushed back and, you know, reshot and stuff. It stars Jude Law, and the best way I can describe it is that it's Goonies and Star Wars. Okay. Well, they have finally confirmed a release date of 2024. Okay. We're going to kind of look at this and we're going to try to find out all we can about Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And I'm just going to give you my overall 2 cents on everything. And finally, in our TV and movie news segment, we're getting another live action He Man movie. Now, if you remember back in the 80s sometime, there was a live action He Man and the Masters of the Universe movie that starred Dolph Lundgren. This time they're doing a brand new He-Man movie. This has nothing to do with that. But they are changing the origin story of Prince Adam He-Man. Okay. They are going to change that origin story. And I'm just going to kind of give you my thoughts and opinion on that and what I think about that overall. But it is getting a release date of 2026, which is, I guess, a good thing. Okay. It just depends on what we see. Now, in gaming news, Max Payne 1 and 2 are being remade by Remedy. Now, Remedy is the studio behind Control, and they did a great job on Control. Get Control is a really good game. I really do enjoy it, and I really like Control. Okay, from what I've seen, now, I've not played Control yet, but it really looks decent. Okay, but they're remaking Max Payne 1 and 2. Now, I've played Max Payne 1 back in the day, so it's going to be interesting to see how they remake Max Payne 1 and 2. I never played 2, but I did play 1. So I'm going to be interested to see how they do that. In other gaming news, the open world Terminator game titled Terminator Survivors released a blog over on Steam. It doesn't talk about a console release, but it's going to give us kind of clues of what we can expect from the Terminator game. So we're going to kind of look at it and talk about it a little bit. And finally, in our gaming news segment, xdefiant has announced that they are going to be launching on May 21st. This is the Ubisoft shooter that many have dubbed the Call of Duty killer. Okay, it's going to be launching on PS5 and Xbox Series X. I'm going to kind of look at it and talk about it a little bit and just give you my overall impressions of it. But anyway, sit back, relax, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and let's look at the Geek Report for the week of April 29th through May 6th of 2024. So let's get started with our TV and movie news. And in our TV and movie news, we got news that Jeff Bridges will be returning to Tron Ares. Now, this is going to be the third Tron movie, okay? Back in the 1980s, there was which Jeff Bridges played Kevin Flynn. And a couple years ago, there was Tron Legacy. So this will be the third film in the Tron movie series. Okay. And this is coming from Variety. And it says Jeff Bridges returning for Tron Ares. We're going to go down here and it says Jeff Bridges is going back to the grid. The 74-year-old actor told the Film Comment podcast that he's going to appear in Tron Ares, the third film in the long-running sci-fi franchise that Bridges inaugurated with Tron in 1982. and reprised with Tron Legacy in 2010. The new film stars Jared Leto as the titular character Ares, with Raquel, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Joaquin Renning, directing from a script by Jesse Wiguto and Jack Thorne. And it says here, I'm heading off this Saturday to play a part in the third installation of the Tron story. Jerry Leto is the star of this third one. I'm really anxious to work with him. I've admired his work. And when Variety reached out to a representative of Bridges, they said that he had already finished his filming on Fortron Aries a while ago. Okay. So this podcast had happened some time ago, and he's already finished with Tron Aries. All right. So let me just kind of give you my thoughts on this. So we got to look back at Tron Legacy. And the way Tron Legacy ended was Sam Flynn, Kevin's son, came into the grid, which was this computerized world, to save Kevin Flynn, his father. Okay. At that point, Kevin Flynn had been missing for like 10 years because he got trapped in the computer world. Okay. Well, at the end of Tron Legacy, okay, Stan Flynn and this digital creation called Cora escaped the grid, but it showed Kevin Flynn reabsorbing his digital doppelganger named Clue. Okay. And basically being destroyed. So there are two ways I could see Jeff Bridges returning. Either as some type of flashback where like Ares was created, before Clue, okay? Where it harkens back to Clue and Ares was created before Clue, okay? Where Ares was created, during that time when, you know, Flynn was trying to basically, you know, get the grid on its feet, learn about the grid, all that. Okay. That Ares was created before Clue and before all that stuff in Legacy happened. The second way I can see this was that somehow, some way, Kevin, before he died, became part of the grid. And so instead of dying, his construct, whatever you want to call it, his soul, whatever, became a part of the grid. And he's like a program in the grid. He can never return home. He can never go back to the real world, any of that. So, what we know about Tron Ares is that unlike the other two Tron films where it was a human going into the digital world, this is about a computer program named Ares going into the human world. Okay. I think this is a real curious reversal on the whole idea of going into the digital world. Jeff Bridges has described that they're not going to use as much computer generated effects as they did in the last two films, that they're going to start using a lot more practical effects, which is going to be interesting. Okay. But I am interested to see how they're going to do this. Okay. How they're going to bring a computer program into the real world and how he's going to adapt. Okay. And I think that the name Ares tells a whole lot because Ares is the god of war. So I have to wonder if maybe there's a third option about Ares where Clue created Ares. Okay. Where Ares is like a remnant of Clue's army or something. Okay. And what we see at the end of the film is um Kevin Flynn, doing something with Clue, and behind his back, Clue is making Ares. And only now has Ares come to fruition and built himself up enough to where he can enter the real world. Okay. So I do think it is very interesting, to see that switch where instead of a human going into the digital world, or as they call them, a user going into the digital world, a program will be going into the real world and with all that entails. Okay. So I really think that is going to be. So right now, over on IMDb, there is no confirmed release date for Tron Ares, but I'm pretty sure they're probably going to release one soon. I mean, if they got Jeff Bridges on board, as well as Cameron Monaghan, who played the Joker in the Batman series Gotham, as well as in the Jedi Fallen Order video games, then I'm pretty sure they're going to probably announce a release date sooner rather than later. To start getting the hype train going for this. But yeah, back to what I was saying, Jeff Bridges is returning as some character in the third Tron film, Tron Ares. So moving on in our news segment, we got news that Star Wars Skeleton Crew is getting a release date for this 2024 for Christmas, right around the holiday season of 2024. Now, this is coming exclusively from Collider, but I have confirmed it through GameStop and a couple of other places. But anyway, it talks about here that Skeleton Crew will arrive on Disney Plus this Christmas season. The story will follow four kids as they navigate a dangerous galaxy in search of their way home. And it's going to be directed by John Watts, and it will star Jude Law and Carrie Condon alongside a talented cast of child actors. Now, I've heard this described as Goonies in Star Wars. Okay, that's literally what I've heard this described as Goonies in Star Wars. Okay, so let me kind of give you my 2 cents on everything. Um, First off, okay, this we've been waiting. It should have already been released by all accounts. The original release date was early 2023, but it kept on getting pushed back. Okay, I think the whole reason it got pushed back was because of the acolyte. I'm just gonna be honest with you. All right, I feel that you had the Bad Batch coming out, you had Tales of the Empire coming out, and then you had the acolyte coming out, and they didn't want to jumble everything up all together, so they waited till Christmas to release Skeleton Crew. Okay, but I was watching actually another couple of streams where in 2025 there ain't really a whole lot of Star Wars content to consume. Okay, now remember, Skeleton Crew is coming out Christmas 2024, which means a couple of the episodes will bleed over into 2025. Okay, now I've heard people say that Andor season 2 is coming out in 2025, but I've not heard anything confirmed. Okay. Nothing has confirmed that. Okay. Another thing is that I've heard some people say, well, we'll probably get an animated feature, but nothing has been confirmed yet. Okay. No, nothing has been confirmed yet. And I'm beginning to wonder if maybe they ain't going to use 2025 as kind of a reset. I'm seriously beginning to wonder that. Okay. I'm serious because, like I've said in other videos, okay, you've got Nelson Peltz waiting in the wings, just waiting for Bob Iger to mess up royally. You've got the Acolyte, which is set to be a complete failure. Okay, it's set to be just dramatically bad, and I probably will be able to watch some of the Acolyte. You've got other shareholders who are tired of the nonsense, who want to make money but are not making money. I mean, they've not even made back their initial investment in Lucasfilm. Okay. And you know that some of these shareholders are getting tired of all this nonsense, not just from Lucasfilm, but from Marvel and from the Disney parks and everything. Okay. So you've got all that combining, and I have to wonder if maybe Bob Iger didn't, maybe this whole proxy fight was Bob Iger's come to Jesus moment, where he had to make a decision. Is it worth going down the path we're going down, or do we need to change course? Okay. Do we need to kind of, change course a little bit? Now, I've heard that The Mandalorian and Grogu could come out in 2025. I'm not expecting that. Okay. I think they're going to push if it comes out. I've heard rumors that's coming out. I've heard rumors that isn't coming out. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I personally believe that if it does come out, it's John Favreau's goodbye. Okay. I'm just going to flat out be honest with you. But the main question I'm having is why is there so much content this year and so little content next year? Okay. We've had the Bad Batch. we're having the Acolyte. We've had Tales of the Empire. Okay, those are just in the first couple of months of 2024. We've got Skeleton Crew coming out in December. Okay, and so far nothing has been confirmed for 2025. Now that's probably going to change right around D23. Okay, right around D23, we'll probably hear some more projects coming out in 2025. But I have to wonder. I literally have to wonder to myself, like, and let me turn off my volume on my phone here. I literally have to wonder to myself the simple question: are they going to use 2025 to take a breather and take stock of things? And has Bob Iger had come to Jesus moment? Okay, because they're bringing so much stuff out now, it kind of makes you wonder what's going on in 2025. Now, I'm pretty sure that it's going to change, with Star Wars Celebration, with D23, with all the other stuff. Okay, all the other conventions coming out, but you have to wonder: is it going to change, or is 2025 going to be a year that Star Wars takes a breather, reassesses itself, and makes some major changes? Okay. I think that if they do that, okay, that could be very huge. I mean, we know the George Lucas movie series, whatever it's being tallied as, is coming out. Okay. We know by all accounts that they're bringing George Lucas back in the fold. Is this his idea? Okay. Is he's like, okay, we gotta take a breather and we gotta kind of find our footing where we're at. Okay. Because right now, I mean, the Acolyte trailer just came out, and I'm not going to talk about it. But another Acolyte trailer just came out. No one cared about it. The Bad Batch. I love the Bad Batch. Okay, the Bad Batch season 3 came out. It was a great series. No one cared about it because it was Star Wars. Okay, there every now and then Star Wars brings out something good. Flat will admit that every now and then they will do something good. But because of all the negativity and because of all the just nonsense surrounding Star Wars right now, no one cares about it. And I think that if they do take 2025 and kind of take a breather and reassess things, I think that could be very good. And it could very well mean that someone behind the scenes is finally listening to the fans and saying, okay, we kind of need to take a breather and let's look at how things stand and what we can improve, what we can fix, and what needs to be done. Okay. I think that could be a very good thing. And maybe, just maybe, Bob Iger has finally had his come to Jesus moment, and maybe we'll get some substantial changes to Star Wars. Okay. But back to what I was saying, Skeleton Crew, the what they're calling Goonies in Star Wars, is set for a Christmas release this year, 2024. It's going to star Drew Law and Carrie London, and it's going to follow the story of kids as they navigate a dangerous galaxy in search of their way home. Okay, so it looks to be pretty interesting if they do it right. But the question remains: after 2024, what's coming in 2025? Okay, and I'm really interested to see what happens in 2025. If they are going to bring out a whole lot of stuff, or if 2025 is going to be a year that Star Wars takes a breath, reassesses itself, and makes some pretty substantial changes. So, in our final bit of TV and movie news, we got news from Amazon Studios and Mattel that they are finally bringing He-Man to theaters. Okay. Now, as you probably know, a long time ago, back in the 80s, there was a live action He Man movie that starred Dolph Lundgren. Okay. But now we're getting a brand new He Man movie. It's going to be live action, and it's coming in summer of 2026. But there's something important I want to talk about. Okay. And it goes on down here and it says the movie, okay, and they're basically talking about the synopsis of the movie follows 10-year-old who crashed to Earth in a spaceship and was separated from his power, the only link to his home on Eternia. After tracking it down, Prince Adam is whisked back to space to defend his home planet against the evil forces of Skeletor. But to defeat such a powerful villain, Prince Adam will first need to uncover the mysteries of his past and become He Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Let me just look at this, okay? First off, I'm not liking what I'm hearing here, okay? This almost seems like they're making a CW version of He Man. And CW, when they did when they did the DC stuff, it was hit or miss, okay? This that's what it feels like, okay? It feels like they're softening up He-Man. All right. Now look, I was expecting live action for a while now because the cartoons over on Netflix are doing good from what I understand. I've heard some good things about Revolutions. But like they're changing the origin story of Prince Adam. Now, first off, if you've ever watched the He-Man cartoon shows or you know of He-Man, the toy lines and stuff, it was never really techy. It was all a lot of science. I mean, a lot of magic. There was some science in it, okay? But it was all like magic with a little science mixed in. So the best way I can see this happening is that the king and queen take Adam to Castle Grayskull, and the sorcerer sends him to Earth. And something interrupts the spell, and he is separated from the power source on Earth, grows up, which they said he finds it a couple of decades later, grows up, finds the power source somehow, and returns. Okay. I don't see them putting him into a rocket kind of like Superman and shooting him to Earth. I see this as a last ditch effort to save their son and perhaps save Eternia. Okay. But the way they're making it sound like a CW version of He Man. Okay. Really watered down. I don't want a watered down He Man. Okay. One of the things I give the original He Man movie with Dolph Lundgren credit for was that it didn't water down the character. Okay. It actually made the character, come to life. Okay. Dolph Lundgren, I think, did his best with what he had. And the characters are one of the things I like about the original live action He Man movie. Okay. The story and everything else kind of went downhill from there. But Dolph Lundgren did do a good job of bringing He Man to the screen in the character. Okay. The story and the graphics and just everything else went downhill from there. But he did do a good job of it. Okay. That's one of the saving graces of that original movie. This one, I don't really see that. Okay. I really don't really see that. Okay. And I'm worried that they're watering down He Man. Okay. I don't want them to water down He Man. Okay. Well, at the same time, I don't want to make him too dark either. Okay. We've had those dark interpretations of heroes before and it didn't work out. So I really hope they're able to find a balance between the light and the dark. Okay. I really hope they're really able to find that balance. But I really don't want them to water down this hero too much because of the simple fact that He-Man was a big part of my childhood. Okay. And I loved He-Man for a long time. I mean, I remember going outside with, tubes of um wrapping paper and screaming, I have the power, just all that stuff. I was one of those 80s kids. But I really don't want them to water down He-Man. Okay. I want good story. I want good characters. And I want some brutality in He-Man, but not too much. Okay. They really need to find that balance. Or else this movie is not just going to take the fans that have grown up with He-Man and basically make them angry that they did this. But it's really going to tick off everyone. Okay. Really tick off everyone. But yeah, I've been expecting this for a while now because of the simple fact that, the cartoon show over on Netflix is doing so well. Okay, from what I understand, I've heard some pretty decent things about the cartoon show. I've heard some pretty decent things about Revolutions. So I've been expecting this for a while now. I just really hope they don't water it down, that they keep the woke nonsense out of it, where it's all power to the women and all that other nonsense. And I hope they tell a concise story. Okay. Tell a really good story, but please don't water down this character. Okay. We've seen that happen way too many times. It's always destroyed the character. And this is not another piece of my childhood I want destroyed. I've had Star Wars destroyed. I've had Star Trek destroyed. Please don't destroy He-Man. Okay. And that's really something I am concerned with in terms of them taking this character, bringing it to live action, and basically destroying the character by watering it down. Okay. And I'm kind of curious who's going to play He Man. We've got information on who's going to play Prince Adam. Okay. And I think it's in here. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. It doesn't say who's going to play Prince Adam in this article. Uh, but I've heard that they have cast Prince Adam. All right, they have not revealed who is going to play Prince Adam yet, and they haven't revealed who's going to play He-Man. Okay, I really hope they get someone as buff as Dolph Lundgren, and they do the transformations right. But yeah, my main concern is that they're going to water down these characters and make them just completely stupid. Okay, I don't want that. I want a good He-Man show, a good He-Man movie from Amazon MGM Studios, and I want them to do the character right because it just seems like they're taking all these great things from the 80s, bringing them into like the modern day audiences, and just completely ruining them for everyone who loved them. Okay. I've already had Star Wars and Star Trek ruined. Please don't ruin He Man. Okay. Transformers is sort of safe right now. G.I. Joe, I wouldn't say it's ruined, but it's not exactly good right now. Hopefully, they're going to make it better. But, you know, make one thing from my childhood good. You know what I'm saying? Make one thing, okay? I mean, He-Man was a great hero to all of us 80s kids. And I think that this also opens up the opportunity for other characters from the 80s to come in as well. We've had Transformers, G.I. Joe. We're now having He-Man. I think this could open up Brave Star. If you remember, there was a character in the 80s called Brave Star, you know? So I think that's a possibility too of doing a Brave Star movie cartoon series. I think that would be something interesting to see. But yeah, He Man is coming out in 2026, and they're changing the origin story of Prince Adam to where he was sent to Earth to basically be raised on Earth, and he lost his power sword, gains it when he becomes an adult, and returns the Eternia. Okay, so they're basically changing his origin story. But yeah, He-Man, the new He-Man Masters of the Universe movie is coming from Amazon Studios and Mattel. It's going to be coming to theaters in 2026. All right. So continuing on, we're going to start with our gaming news. And before I start with my gaming news, I do have to apologize if you hear a sound in the background. It's my fan going because it's starting to get a little warm in here. It is coming that time of season. So, but let's keep on going. And our first bit of gaming news talks about the remakes for Max Payne 1 and 2. And that is that we're finally getting some movement over at Remedy. Now, Remedy is a good studio, okay? They did Control, okay? And Control is a great game. All right. I have not played Control, but I've seen streams of Control. And for what I've seen, it's a great game. Okay. Now, Max Payne, I played one, but I never played two. Okay. I never got the opportunity to play 2. So I don't know about 2, but I remember 1 very well. The first Max Payne was a detective story, okay? But it was kind of a noir detective story, you know? It wasn't in black or white or anything like that, but it was a real hardcore detective story of you trying to find the truth, okay? Now, I'm really interested to see what Remedy is going to do with Max Payne 1 and 2. Now, for about 2 years, they've had the rights to Max Payne 1 and 2 to remake them, okay, with Rockstar, okay? And for the past 2 years, they've been getting everything kind of getting all their ducks in a row, I guess we should say. You know, they've been getting all the assets together and all that. But now, recently, it came out that they're finally getting their act together and they're actually going to start development on remakes for Max Payne and Max Payne 2. Okay. And we're getting this from comicbook.com, and it says over 2 years ago, in April 2022, Remedy revealed they had partnered with Rockstar Games to remake the first 2 entries in the iconic Max Payne series. Since that time, the studio has continued to work on projects, but only in pre-production phase. Now, this portion of development is coming to an end as Remedy is ramping up to more delicate to dedicate even more resources to Max Payne 1 and 2 remake. So basically, what this means is they're done with preparations. Okay, they've gotten the assets, they've gotten the permissions, they've gotten all they need to get. Now they're actually going to start developing. Okay, they're going to start updating the assets, updating the graphics, the controls, all that. So as far as Max Payne 1 or 2 are concerned, we are finally getting some movement in terms of development. I'm really interested to see what Remedy could do because I have seen streams of Control. Control is a great game. It looks really, really interesting. I've never played Control, but I would like to. Okay, and I think I have it like for PlayStation Plus. So that's happening. But like, yeah, like I've seen streams of Control. It looks really interesting, just the way they've done things. And honestly, I can't wait for them to remake Max Payne 1 and 2, especially 2. I never got to play 2. I got to play 1, but I never got to play 2. And if they can bring that whole detective story into the more modern era with better graphics, maybe some story tweaks here and there, not real huge, but just some minor adjustments to the story here and there, and better voice acting, that sort of thing, then yeah, I think that the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes could be very well received, and I can't wait to see what they do with them, honestly. So a while back, I talked about the fact that they are making a Terminator video game that's going to be an open world survival video game in first person. Okay. Well, just this past week, the creators of this game came out with a blog basically detailing their lore and their thinking behind certain decisions that were made in the trailer. Okay. And we're going to take a look at that blog right now. And we're going to start right here. Now, this part of the blog is talking about why they chose this particular timeline for Terminator survivors. And it says here, we chose this timeline for its riveting narrative potential, a chapter of history so captivating yet vastly unexplored. We witnessed Sarah Connor's efforts to avert Judgment Day, the resistance struggle against Skynet, and yet, while Judgment Day looms large in the Terminator mythos, the aftermath, the resilience, and the genesis of John Connor's resistance have remained largely untold. And it continues on and it says Sarah Connor succeeded in preventing Judgment Day event of 1997, but that did not halt Cyberdyne and the birth of Skynet, merely postponing the inevitable, like the Terminator said in Terminator 2. And it says here in September 2005, Skynet attained self awareness and initiated a global nuclear assault, resulting in the extermination of billions of people. So, based on this alone, okay, we know that the timeline is going to include Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Terminator 3. Because Terminator 3 Rise of Machines takes place in 2005 with the rise of Skynet. Okay. And by what they're describing here, this is going to talk about the immediate aftermath of the nuclear attack. Okay. You're not going to be seeing Terminators walking around everywhere. This is the immediate aftermath of the nuclear attack, where people still probably don't know what's happened. Okay. They know there was a nuclear attack. Okay. But they probably don't know like the full extent of it. They don't know about Skynet. They probably don't know what's happened. You probably got rumors going around that it was this enemy or that enemy and all that other stuff. So you're not going to be seeing Terminators just like walking around. So I think this is really interesting, and it's going to flesh out the Terminator mythos a lot. Okay. So continuing on, it goes on right here and says those who were distant enough from the epicenters or who found refuge in anti-nuclear bunkers had to confront the onset of a new era amidst the radiation and societal collapse. With long-range communication systems offline, people congregate in small, often conflicting communities, striving to secure scarce resources where available. So what we're going to be looking at is something like kind of like Days Gone, okay, where people have kind of congregated in small communities just trying to survive, okay. Maybe you'll have areas of radiation. I mean, you're not going to have zombies, of course, but you'll have areas of radiation where you can't go without special equipment, or you'll take damage, that sort of thing. So I think that's what we're looking at here also, in terms of like the mythos, where we're at. So this is not going to be like when the resistance has already started. This is not even going to be the real beginnings of the resistance. This is going to be immediately after Judgment Day. Okay. I would say maybe a year after Judgment Day. People are still in that state of shock, okay, where they don't know what's happened, really. I mean, they know there was a nuclear attack, they know the bombs fell, okay, but maybe they haven't really called it Judgment Day yet. Or that term is starting to come around a lot, where they're starting to say, you know, I was here on Judgment Day, stuff like that, okay, where you're really seeing the beginnings of the post-apocalyptic culture that is part of Terminator. Okay, where you don't really see the beginnings of John Connor. Maybe you see the seeds of a resistance. Okay, but you don't really see John Connor. You don't really see a whole lot of Skynet. Okay, this is like the very beginnings of that part of the story where people still don't know what really happened. All they know was the bombs fell and cities were nuked. Okay. So they really don't know what's happened at this point. So continuing on down here, it says, is the game playable solo offline? This game is fully playable solo, single player mode, though through an original story. So this is not going to be one of those games, at least from this post, where you have to be connected to the internet to play it offline. Okay. Where you don't have to be connected to the internet to play it solo. Okay. I like that. I think that's really good. Another thing is that they're talking about multiplayer. It says, is the co-op mode going to be PvE or PvP? So basically, they're saying, is this going to be player versus environment or player versus player? Okay, and it talks right here and says, the multiplayer co-op mode enables you to experience the entire story of the game alongside up to 3 friends. There are no plans for player versus player functionality. I think this is also another good choice. So the player mode in this is going to be more akin to Escape from Tarkov. Maybe not even Escape from Tarkov. Think of Modern Warfare Zombies. Okay, it's going to be akin to that than say Escape from Tarkov or Warzone. Okay, it's going to be more akin to Modern Warfare Zombies. Okay, where you and a group of friends jump in and complete objectives yourselves. Okay, so if you want an even better example, think of it more along the lines of maybe the Division. Okay, all right. The Division is mainly player versus environment. Now there can be player versus player combat. Okay, but it's player versus player environment mainly. Okay, so think of it more along the lines of the Division or Modern Warfare Zombies or even Days Gone, where you can start out in the game and then maybe your friends get online and they can jump into your game. Okay, so think of it more along those terms. Now, continuing on, it talks about right here why Judgment Day in 2005. They don't specifically mention Rise of the Machines, but based on what I understand from the Terminator timeline, you had Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Terminator 3, which took place in 2004. So this is going to take place right around the Terminator 3 Judgment Day timeline. Okay. And it says here the Judgment Day in 1997 was averted by Sarah Connor during Terminator 2. During the game, you will discover what occurred after the events of the movie Terminator 2 and before the start of the game. So we will get notes on what happened to John Connor and Sarah Connor after Terminator 2 and probably after Terminator 3. Okay. Now we know what basically happened to John and Sarah. They went down to Mexico and they hid out until finally Sarah died from cancer and John went on the run, fearing that the Terminators were going to find him. Okay. Worried about Judgment Day until finally it happened. Okay. In Terminator 3. So this movie is going to be based off the first three Terminator movies. Okay, this is going to be before the fourth Terminator movie. This is going. I don't even think this is going to take place in the Dark Fate timeline, but it's going. This is going to take Terminator, Terminator 2, and Terminator 3 all into consideration when talking about the lore. Okay. It says here, is it a narrative-driven game? Is there a quality story in it? Well, I mean, they're going to say yes, of course, but they say the game features a rich storyline along secondary storylines and quests. So it's open world. It's going to have secondary storylines and quests. Each setting light on the world's history and its diverse inhabitants. Though throughout the journey, players will cross paths with iconic figures from the saga as well as best faces pivotal to the timeline. So, what does that mean? I mean, who are we going to see? Who do I think we're going to see in the, in this video game? Because remember, this game is taking place probably about a year after Judgment Day. I would say a year after Judgment Day, because as I said earlier, people survived the bombs, but they still didn't know about Skynet. They still really didn't know about John Connor or any of that. Okay, this is still when people are just trying to get by, trying to decide what to do, and also just trying to survive. Okay, before the Terminators came, before the extermination of mankind started, before all that. All right, so yeah, I think that we're going to see some iconic figures from the movie. So one of the names I think we're going to see in this is Danny Dyson. Now, he was the son of Miles Dyson. And by all accounts, this is going to take Terminator 2 into account when creating the lore. Okay. So if that's going on, then by the time that this game comes around, 2005 is what they're saying here, that Danny Dyson would have either been in high school or college, from what I remember. Okay. If you don't know who that was, in Terminator 2, the man who created Terminator, who created Skynet, was Miles Dyson. Okay. He was helping to develop this chip that Skynet would eventually use to create the Terminators. Okay. He was killed in Terminator 2. All right. He was killed off in Terminator 2 when Sarah Connor, John Connor, and a person from the future who later turned out to be a Terminator reprogrammed by the Resistance came back, and Sarah Connor tried to stop Judgment Day. And she thought by killing Miles Dyson, that would stop it. Okay. But before she could do it, John stopped her and said, "This ain't going to change anything." And Miles Dyson ended up helping John, Sarah, and this reprogrammed Terminator destroy Cyberdyne systems, where all the stuff from Skynet and all that was there. Okay. Now it didn't stop Skynet from coming online. Okay. But it pushed back Judgment Day from 1997 to 2005. Okay. So, you know, that's what's happened with Miles Dyson. Okay. He died in Terminator 2, but he had a son. And from what I remember, the son was real young. So by the time this takes place, he would have either been in high school or early college. Okay. I think he would have been in high school. Okay. And more than likely, his son and his wife were listening to when Sarah told Miles what was going on. There's a scene in Terminator 2 where Sarah Connor and the reprogrammed Terminator basically tell Miles what he's responsible for, what he does. Okay. What he's responsible for in terms of creating Terminator and Skynet and all that. And he decides to join them to destroy Skynet, okay, to stop Judgment Day by blowing up Cyberdyne, okay. Now, more than likely, his wife was there. I remember his wife being there listening to the story, but I think they took the little boy off somewhere else. So, more than likely, as the little boy grew up, the wife told him to prepare for this day, should it ever come. So, I fully expect to see at least Danny Dyson in some way, shape, or form as either some type of leader or just another person you interact with in a quest. Okay. Not a low level person, but someone major you interact with. I will fully expect to see Danny Dyson in this game. Okay. Another person, I can't think of his name, but he was the shrink that treated Sarah Connor. Okay. He was in the first Terminator movie, he was in the second Terminator movie, and he was in the third one. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him there as someone who was like, yo, Sarah Connor was right. I was wrong. That type of person. So I suspect we would see him there. The big toss up, though, would be Reese, whether we see Kyle Reese or his father. Now, there was a Terminator TV series called the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I doubt that they're going to take that into consideration. Okay. But in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, it was revealed that right around 1999, somewhere like that, Kyle Reese was like 10, 11 years old. Okay. So I would not be surprised to either see a young Kyle Reese, like a kid, like real kid Kyle Reese, maybe 11, 12 years old, or see Kyle Reese's father. Okay. I would not be surprised to see either one of those. Okay. Because, as you know, if you follow Terminator lore, you know that Kyle Reese survives Judgment Day, becomes part of the Resistance. Eventually, he goes back in time to save Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese have I guess you could call it a one night stand. And because of that one night stand, Sarah gets pregnant with John Connor. Okay. But I would not at all be surprised to see either Kyle Reese as a young boy or a relative of Kyle Reese, like a father or mother figure. Okay. I don't remember what his father's name was, or even if they even mentioned him. But he was in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, as there was this scene where John and Kyle were looking at these two people playing catch, and one of them turned out to be Kyle Reese. Okay. And I remember the little boy being like 10, maybe 9, 10 years old. So yeah, I would not be surprised to see either a young Kyle Reese or the father of Kyle Reese in this game. Okay. I would not be surprised to see either one of those. All right. Which I think really opens up, really sets the stage for the beginnings of the resistance when it does get started. Okay. Continuing on, it says here, is one Terminator hunting us or multiple? And it says the game features a single TA hunter, a relentless formidable hunter that cannot be stopped. There are multiple reasons behind this decision. First off, there's going to be lore consistency. The game unfolds in 2009, shortly after the cataclysmic Judgment Day, during the period where Skynet's production capabilities haven't yet reached their peak. So, at this point, this game takes place in 2009, according to this. And when it says have not reached its production peak, that probably tells me that they've not set up the camps or for humans to make more Terminators, that sort of thing. Okay. That it's still using existing technology that is still around. Now, in Terminator 3, we saw prototypes of like the flying machines. Okay. So more than likely it's going to be using drones. Okay. But yeah, at this point, Skynet has really not ramped up production. And that really tells me that you're probably not going to see like the camps, okay? The places where they hold the humans and use them to basically make more Terminators, you're not going to see them, okay? So you're not going to see them yet. Now there will be one Terminator that will be hunting you, but it's going to be from the future. And it continues on and says the T-800, an infiltration unit. Now the T-800s were created in the Terminator timeline to basically infiltrate resistance. Okay. This one probably comes from the future. And it says serves as a member of Skynet's relentless pursuit across time. The T-800 encountered by players is one of these units sent by Skynet in its desperate attempts to rewrite history and secure future victory in the future war. So while we will see a T-800, I think we'll also see other units that are basically doing Skynet's bidding. Kind of like units sent in to secure certain resources or units sent in to monitor, outposts, that sort of thing, to look after people. I honestly would not be surprised if it had some kind of unalive list. You know what I'm saying? Some type of list it said of people to look at, to watch over, to make sure that, when the time comes, it can unalive certain people in the war when it happens. Okay. So I would not be surprised if we had quests like that. And it said that the tone and atmosphere, we aim to capture the essence of the first two films. Okay. Where the looming threat of an unstoppable machine instilled a sense of dread and urgency. By featuring a lone T-800 as the relentless antagonist, players are immersed in an atmosphere of constant peril and tension. Much like the protagonists of the movies, players will experience harrowing sensation of being hunted by an adversary that knows no mercy and cannot be reasoned with. So, based on what I'm seeing here, you're going to be dealing with normal weapons. You're not going to be dealing with plasma rifles yet. Okay. You're going to have one T-800 with probably other types of units that have been sent back by Skynet to kind of, tilt the odds in its favor. Okay. And you're also going to have basically a relentless pursuer. Okay. And they're trying to capture the feeling of the first two films. Okay. Of just this unstoppable machine. So, more than likely, this machine won't be able to be harmed by any type of weapon that you have. Okay. And whenever you encounter one of these T-800 units, you're going to have to run away or hide or something because it's going to be unstoppable and it's going to be hunting you as you complete objectives and do other things for the game. All right. And it says here the inclusion of T-800 in the game serves not only to uphold the integrity of the franchise lore, but also deliver an immersive gameplay experience that pays homage to the films that inspired it. They're trying. I think they're really trying to pay honor to the films that inspired it, mainly Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. I think they're going to include Terminator 3 in this. I'm assuming they are because of the time it takes place in of 2009 with the Judgment Day happening in 2005. But I think really they're trying to go for a Terminator 1, Terminator 2 type of feel in everything they're doing. Now, the final two things I want to talk about are this. It says, would you be able to create custom our own base or is it prefabricated structure? It says you'll start your journey with an existing base tied to the story we're unfolding. You can then have the opportunity to expand your base through construction and enhancing facilities. Okay, so basically it's going to be a lot like the Division. In the Division, you started with a base, and as you did certain things and got certain equipment, you could expand your base, and with each expansion came new abilities or new perks or whatever you want to call it. So I think that's what's going to happen. Okay. As you expand, I think that's probably going to be the beginning of the game where you're trying to expand your base to a certain limit. Okay. And you're going out and doing missions to recruit certain people. And maybe even throughout the game, you'll be able to recruit a certain number of people before you have to expand your base some more. Okay. So I think that's going to happen. And as you expand your base, you will get certain abilities, certain perks, and that sort of thing. The other thing is that will you be able to use your own vehicles? And it says in Terminator Survivors, multiple drivable vehicles will be available. The vehicle system aims to support player movement across the game world and the gameplay flows, creating various exploration experiences, encouraging tactical thinking, and promoting multiplayer cooperation. I think that we definitely will see Jeeps. I think that we will see different types of vehicles. I think the vehicles are going to play an integral role in doing certain quests. I know that in Days Gone, you had to have a certain level on your bike in certain areas to do certain things. I think that's what we're going to see here. I really think they're trying to meld Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 and maybe Terminator 3, the movies, with the video game Days Gone. Okay. I really think that's the feel we're getting is a Days Gone video game, but with Terminators instead of zombies. Okay. I think that the main bad guys you're going to be facing are going to be humans and other machines that are not Terminators, but they're kind of like robots. Okay. And you're trying to figure out what's going on here. Drones basically. Okay. I think you'll only see a few of the Terminator units from the movies. I think you'll probably see a T-600. You're definitely going to see a T-800. Beyond that, I don't think you'll see any of that. But this game is looking to be really interesting in a lot of ways. And yeah, this is looking to be really interesting in a lot of ways. All right. It's looking to be interesting and it's going to really talk about a part of the Terminator mythos that we've never seen. We've seen the beginnings of the resistance with John Connor in Terminator 4. Okay. We've seen, pre-Judgment Day, Terminators 1, 2, and we even saw the initiation of Judgment Day, Terminator 3. We saw in Terminator Resistance, the resistance having already formed and starting to send people back that starts the movies. Okay. But we've never really seen this part of the Terminator mythos where Skynet was this just overwhelming force yet. Okay. Where they're just trying to survive and they're trying to stop other humans from stealing their supplies. Maybe they're trying to stop, other, humans at all just from killing them. Okay. And we really don't see a whole lot of the Terminators. Now, we're going to see Terminators in this game. Okay. But I think, but by what they're saying here, we're only going to see one T-800. And based on what they're saying, he's going to be indestructible. Okay, that you're either going to have to run or hide to stop him from killing you. Okay, and I think at most we'll see maybe drones like we have today. We'll see a lot of the technology we have today used against us. Okay, if we see a tank, it'll be like a tank from the day, like an M1 Abrams tank. It won't have like laser turrets on it or anything. We're not going to see stuff like the T-1000 or stuff like that. We're going to still see low level stuff. We're going to experience a time before humanity really knew about Skynet. Okay, before all they knew was the bombs dropped and Judgment Day happened. Okay, I think this is going to be really interesting to see what they do with this. Okay, I really think that this could be very, very interesting in the Terminator mythos. And they're also not taking Dark Fate into account. I did not like Genesis. I did not like Dark Fate. So yeah, like they're not taking those into account. I think they're definitely taking Terminators 1 and 2 into account. But I also think they're going to take Terminator 3 into account. So by that moment, you will probably hear about Crystal Peak. You probably will hear about John Connor, and you probably will hear about his wife. Um, I suspect that you'll probably hear about Danny Dyson, the son of Miles Dyson, who died in Terminator 2. Um, More than likely, you'll probably hear about the psychologist. He was trying to treat Sarah Connor in the mental hospital because he thought she was crazy, but now he probably doesn't think she's so crazy anymore. So I think you'll see those people. Um, any other major characters? I don't really know who else you would see. Maybe Reese. That's another character. Someone related to Kyle Reese. Either Kyle Reese himself as a young boy, or maybe his father. Just trying to survive with the mother and son. Okay, so I think you'll see those. I think you'll probably either midway through or at least before the game ends, you'll start hearing radio signals from Crystal Peak and John Connor trying to keep people alive and prepare for what's coming. Okay. You'll probably hear those. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. There's nothing on here about a console release. I suspect there will be, and it'll probably be on the PS5 or Xbox Series X. But yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. And if they do a console release, it's one game I definitely will want to pick up. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and I honestly can't wait to see what happens when Terminator Survivors drops. There is no idea for a release date, I don't think. Let me look here. So, based on the Steam page here, Terminator Survivors drops on October 24th, 2024, which is only a couple of months. Okay. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I hope they release more blog posts to let people know about some of the gameplay mechanics, some of the graphics, all that stuff. But yeah, just being a Terminator fan and remember those movies, yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and I do think they are doing justice to the Terminator movies. We close out this geek report. Is I've been hearing a lot about what they're calling the Call of Duty killer, and that is xdefiant. And now we're getting word that xdefiant will be releasing on May 21st for PC. If I can come down here and get it for PC, for Xbox Series X, and for PS5. Okay. And basically, xdefiant is being headed up by some former members of Infinity Ward. And basically, the whole game is basically an arena shooter. So think of it more along the lines of Overwatch than Call of Duty. Okay. You get to choose from several factions, and these are the factions right here. And each of these factions are based off Ubisoft property. And you got Echelon, the Phantoms, Cleaners, Libertad, DedSec. You got different maps, modes. You got Domination, Hotshot, Occupy, Escort, Zone Control. I've heard X Defiant being described as the Call of Duty killer. I don't think it's going to be that. It's being headed up by former Call of Duty heads who have just come out and said there will be no skill based matchmaking in this game. Okay. I think that it has the potential to be a Call of Duty killer, but what I've seen from it so far doesn't make it a Call of Duty killer. I mean, I've not seen any kill streaks. I've seen special abilities for the different factions, but I've not seen kill streaks. I mean, I've not really seen what their microtransactions are going to be like because this will be a free to play game. I mean, I don't think it'll be a Call of Duty killer, but I do think it will take some of the steam out of Call of Duty sales because Call of Duty has just been messing up so much lately that it cannot. Okay. Especially when you say something along the lines of, oh, we're not going to have skill based matchmaking. And maybe if this game is big enough, then, it will go and cause Call of Duty to remove skill based matchmaking from their matchmaking service, or at least have it to where you can choose to put skill based matchmaking in. Okay. I'm still kind of curious about how they're going to do microtransactions because even though this is a free to play game, I expect microtransactions. Okay. I just am. Okay. I'm curious about just the different factions, what the deal with them is. I want to see the maps. I've like I said before, I've heard X Defiant being called the Call of Duty killer. I do not think it's going to be that. Okay. But I think that if they do a good enough job, then they most certainly will get a lot of the hardcore Call of Duty people to come over to X Defiant just because it's free to play and all that. But if they start messing up and start putting like high level microtransactions into it and stuff, then they're not going to get that many Call of Duty players. But yeah, like I said before, X Defiant will be coming out free to play on May 21st. It will be for PC, Xbox Series X, and PS5. And It will be using the Ubisoft launcher. Like I said before, I've heard this described as the Call of Duty killer. I don't think it's going to be that, but I do think it will be a good competitor to Call of Duty, and I do think it will definitely give Call of Duty a run for its money. Well, that was your geek report for the week of April the 29th through May 6th of 2024. To kind of recap what we talked about, Jeff Bridges returns to Tron Ares. So Jeff Bridges will be returning to Tron Ares, the new Tron movie that will be coming out soon. In Star Wars news, Star Wars Skeleton Crew is set to release in Christmas 2024. And final movie and TV news, we got news that a live action He-Man movie is going to be set and comes out in 2026. And they are changing the origin story of Prince Adam. In gaming news, Max Payne 1 and 2 is finally airing production at Remedy. These are remakes of the original Max Payne 1 and 2. Terminator Survivors released a blog about what you can expect inside the game. And finally, xdefiant, the so-called Call of Duty killer, as I've heard it described, will be coming out from Ubisoft on May 21st for PS5 and Xbox Series X. It will be free to play, but I expect microtransactions in it. I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are staying safe and staying well and staying healthy. Check out my other video sites and my other social media at the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.